It's that time again.
Yep. We are Team Wester.
And you are the most important thing to us.
Team Wester
Podcast. It's all about the team.
Well, Happy New Year and welcome to another exciting edition of the Team Wester podcast. I'm Clay Moden with Brad Gelber and joined today by special guest, Buffalo long snapper Reid Ferguson. Welcome back, Reid.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good to see you guys.
This is a store we're out here at the Toyota store today. I understand you're pretty familiar with.
I've frequented this location quite a few times.
Yeah, and obviously, we're here today on the Team Wester podcast, and you're one of our new members of Team Wester this season. Yep. So for people watching or listening, this is a concept we've had a couple years now. But, I guess you were with us back in the summer when we did our big shoot and everything, and Josh and the guys were all there. So what was it like to kind of, be part of that day and part of the whole content day for us?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think the two things that stick out to me the most were obviously answering a bunch of the questions in the stands. Like we got to kind of mingle around with a lot of the fans that were there. But the second thing is I can't remember the last time that I had somebody put makeup on me for a photo shoot. So that was a box that I had not checked in a long time. But no, it was fantastic. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Well, the fans certainly are, every time they see you guys, very happy to see you as well. So on a day like that, you get to meet the fans, and then when you're out in the public, you get to meet the fans. You've played college football, working your way up, people recognized you, but what's it like now being in Buffalo and after everything that's gone on so far this season?
Yeah, I think I've told people over the years when they find out, they ask me where I went to college or if they ask me about my experience at LSU. LSU is very well known for their tailgating experience, similar to the team I play for now.
Right.
So it's and I always tell people it reminds me it's a very collegiate atmosphere, which is a great thing. Mm-hmm. That is not to be taken in a bad light at all. I think that makes it more special for the players because they feel closer to the fans. And I think that makes the game day experience a ton more fun for everybody involved. So I think, when I think of this year specifically, everything that we've gone through, highs and lows both, the fans have been there for us, showing us a ton of love and respect, traveling to, when we had the snow game that got moved, traveling to Detroit to see us 2 weeks in a row or 4 days apart.
Right.
And, it's anything any player could ask for. It's everything a player could ask for.
You brought up LSU because I thought last weekend at the game, the stadium was shaking so much on the opening kickoff return. LSU's been known to have mini earthquakes at their stadium.
Yes.
And I looked it up. It didn't happen in Orchard Park, but it had to feel like that to you guys.
I'm pretty sure it did. I mean, I think LSU probably houses a few more people than a couple NFL stadiums, but I think when I was there, we got close to doing like an earthquake, on the seismograph. Is that?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, I don't want to outsmart myself here. But that opening kickoff was like, I think Josh put it great in his post-game presser. He said it was a spiritual moment.
Right.
And it was, especially for everybody involved in the previous Monday night game. It's probably not great for a podcast, but like it left me speechless.
Right.
It's hard to put into words what it meant. And I always tell people, like, as a snapper, I wish I could celebrate touchdowns more.
Sure.
But it's hard to because in my job I try to stay as level-headed as possible, whether it's a punt or a field goal or an extra point, whether we're up by 3 touchdowns or we're kicking one, to win the game against Miami a few weeks ago. I try to stay as level-headed as possible. But like when that happens and the opening kickoff after that week that we just went through and the fans too, like that was probably one of the most emotional moments of my career for sure. It was the first extra point. I joke with Sam after I snapped it. I was like, I just tried to put it on you, just try to throw it back there to you, and he was like, "No, it's all good." But we were pretty amped.
Incredible game.
Yeah, and in terms of like, I think people maybe don't always realize like the special teams unit is like its own little family in a sense. It's got you, Tyler, and Sam this year. So, like you said, you're out there for that moment. Like, and the kickoff's a little different, but like with Sam kicking it off and stuff like that, for you guys as a special teams unit, like what is it like comparatively, because you got the offensive unit, the defensive unit, and there's not as many of you maybe in that little family, but you guys are really close, it seems like. Yeah,
we're really tight, and I think that just comes with the territory of spending pretty much every waking moment together. Right. For, Sam got here week 1, but for the most part, you're spending a whole off season, a couple months in April, May, June with your guys, and then, like I said, spending just about every waking moment through training camp and through a 20-plus week season. You're dang near spending more time with these guys than you are with your family sometimes. Right. So it's hard not to build those relationships up to a level where they absolutely feel like family. When you see them every day.
So I believe it was a play last weekend. It was a punt maybe, and there was a tackle, and I said, who got it? Because I have a spotter. I have the ability now to be the PA guy for the team, which is a huge honor. And my spotter's like, it was Ferguson. I was like, who? Like, I didn't – that doesn't happen a lot.
I don't blame him.
And
I don't blame him.
Oh, Reid Ferguson got the tackle. Okay, tackled by Reid Ferguson.
I don't blame him. I was a little surprised myself. Okay? First one of the year, it's always good to get like the hunch off your back, but if it's
what's
better
that
late
like?
than never.
Because you snap the ball and you're like, okay, the punt's away, get him. You got guys downfield, but when you see him coming, he hasn't been tackled yet. What goes through your mind at that point? Just knock him down.
And this is gonna sound like, for the most part, I'm just trying to like get in the way. I'm not
right.
But when the opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna try and make a play. But I train the guys that have played a long time and have been successful in my position. A lot of them have told me to, earlier in my career when I would speak with them at game, pregame and whatnot, try to train as if you are a linebacker, because that's basically what you turn into after you snap the ball. So when you're running down the field, everybody is basically playing the same position. You're all trying to tackle the ball carrier. Mm-hmm. You're not a snapper at that point. You're not a wide receiver at that point, or whatever position you may be. You're basically a linebacker, and that's so. Just kind of trying, over the course of my career, trying to change that mindset into, okay, for this first part of this play, I'm a snapper, got to do my job, but then flip a switch when you run down the field and try to make a tackle.
For the average fan watching football, there's guys that know every in and out of what's happening in your position all the way through. Before you go out, do you guys know where the ball is going to be kicked to, or is it just like go as far as you can with this kick?
No, are you talking for
like a punt?
For punts? Yeah. No, we most teams in the NFL do like some sort of directional style punting. So you're usually trying to punt left or punt right.
There is a plan.
Yeah.
And for you too, so like, long snapper is a unique position, obviously, and like maybe for like the average football fan, like thinking about it, because I've heard you talk about this before, like you didn't grow up as a kid thinking, at least you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't like, I want to grow up one day and be a long snapper.
I don't think anybody.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, like what was your original desired position, and then like how did this kind of all happen for you?
So I'll admit this because I've actually, I think we talked about it on my podcast with my brother who plays in Miami. My sports idol growing up was Jason Taylor. So that's kind of when I started playing in 5th grade. I started out trying to play defensive end, some tight end, loved Tony Gonzalez, and it just wasn't like I wasn't the most athletic kid out there. 5th, 6th, 7th grade, wasn't really seeing the field a ton. And then going into the 8th grade season, the kid that was playing center and snapper got hurt, and I guess over the summer or something before the season started, and they were looking for somebody to fill in. And my dad was like, hey, and I had almost, before that 8th grade year, I had almost stopped playing football just because I wasn't having fun, wasn't enjoying it, wasn't getting on the field, and coach and my dad convinced me to just keep going, just give it one more shot before high school. And sure enough, my dad and I sat, and he was like, the snapper the center got hurt. Why don't we just give this a shot for a few weeks, see if we can practice it, practice shotgun snaps and long, punt snaps and stuff, and just see if you are good enough to at least get on the field for your 8th grade year. And one thing led to another, practice, and did snapping and center for the 8th grade team, and then played throughout high school. So it's just crazy how things work out sometimes, but at the detriment of the kid that got hurt, I guess I made a career out of it. So,
and for you too, obviously, like center, like traditional center versus long snapping, they're different positions. So I guess kind of like, how did you figure out, all right, like I really want to focus on the special teams aspect of it?
I think part of that is because I still wear like a XL shirt. I don't wear like a 3X, which is funny because I get asked by people all the time. They're like, oh, you're a snapper, so you hike the ball. Well, you must hike it to Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, no, that guy that does that has like 80 pounds on me. Right? So he's
although you and Mitch kind of look similar.
Well, that was the other thing. I get confused for Mitch all the time. And I'm like, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Mitch is very good at his job. He's done it at a high level for a long time. I'll absolutely take that compliment. But no, it is definitely a different job. I want no part of blocking those guys on every single play. I'll take my job just fine.
Reid, you mentioned your brother, and obviously Buffalo's taking on Miami, the big game that everybody's talking about. What's that going to be like for you and your brother and your family? And is there, trash talk is the word that comes to mind, but is there any banter between you about this game leading up to it?
Sure. We call it the Ferguson Bowl, like when we record our podcast every week. So we kind of named it that a couple years ago when he got drafted, but when we play each other, we kind of keep it close to the chest a little bit, right? We talk to each other a little bit throughout the week, but it's super competitive, and that I think that just comes with the territory of being brothers, and you're cheering for good snaps, but you want the other team to lose.
What's the age gap between you and
3
your
years?
You
He's
are
3 years younger.
3 years younger.
Yep.
Yeah. So growing up, what was that like? Because you mentioned how brothers go back and forth, but what was that like for you?
He was always the instigator. I never instigated anything. Never. I always got the better grades. I always won in Madden and NCAA football and stuff. So no, I'm kidding, but our relationship growing up was everything that, like, if you look up a brotherly love in the dictionary, that was probably the definition of our relationship growing up. A lot of fighting, a lot of loving, and we have a fantastic relationship now. So
your parents must be so happy too and proud, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, they are, and they don't miss a game really. They're every weekend. It's twice a year that they don't have to worry about splitting up or missing somebody's game, but every year they try to make as many as possible. And when the schedule actually came out this year, it was great because we played a ton of non-Sunday games. Sure. Thursday, Monday, Saturday, a couple times, and so it made it super easy for them to make both games a lot of the weeks. They only missed like 7 or 8 games this season between the two of us. So they work from home. Mom's retired, but dad works from home, which makes it easier to travel a lot around the country. So, but God bless them. They've taken their share of Sky Miles,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And obviously your brother Blake, like we said, he plays for Miami, but he went to LSU as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
do you feel like you kind of like steered that path for him? Because here you are, long snapper, LSU, NFL, same thing for him. And that's, it's not easy to do, obviously, for one person, let alone both brothers. In
for
a
sure.
family.
I'd like to think that I sort of paved the way a little bit for him, but he has worked hard for everything he's earned, and it definitely helped because he was down there at LSU all the time with my parents, going to games every Saturday. So Coach Miles that was there when I was there, he was very familiar, seeing him around. He knew that he was good enough to eventually earn a scholarship someday, and offered him 1 year when he was down there visiting for a game, and kind of the rest is history. But going back to you talking about Ferguson, like playing each other. We're 5-1 again. We're 5-1 against him. So like I'm super competitive against him for my own reasons, because one, I wasn't drafted, he was, and two, he won a national championship at LSU and I didn't. So I'm trying to I'm continually trying to level up, one up him. In these first couple of years he's in the league, but it's been fun.
And you guys actually have your own podcast you've referenced a couple of times called After the Snap podcast. So kind of like, how did that come to be? Because I guess you see more and more now current players are starting to kind of have their own podcasts or shows and things. But obviously you guys have a unique story and you both are snappers. So that makes sense. But what's kind of the theme of the podcast and how did that idea come?
So I think the idea came around probably almost 2 years ago. We were kind of trying to find a way to tell our stories, and because there's a market out there for people that want to hear stuff from inside the locker room, without giving too much away, obviously, but inside locker rooms, funny stories, interviews with current players, hearing our side of things, on some stuff that might be, stories or headlines that might be shared where the fans are maybe not getting the full story. Whatever it may be, we just, and we thought we could have some fun with it, and we are. So we record every week. We've been doing it for almost 2 years now. We're having a blast, and we've had a lot of guests on, a lot of our team. Couple guys on my team, couple guys on his team. We usually try to get a couple snappers on throughout the season from around the league and have some fun with it, but. No, it's great. It's cool for me because I'm up here in Buffalo. He's down there in Miami. We text throughout the week, but I really cherish, that hour or hour and a half, 2 hours that we're just chit chatting on a Zoom call for for 2 hours once a week, just hanging out and having fun and talking ball or talking baseball or soccer or whatever the topic is. And that's kind of what I've enjoyed getting out of is just being able to spend a bit more face-to-face with them, since it's hard to being so far away.
You mentioned having other teammates on with you guys. Who are your best friends on the team? I mean, obviously you guys are a family. We all know that. But who is the guys that you're like, okay, Saturday night, here's who I'm hanging out with? Yeah,
I think, it's hard not to say T-Bass and Sam.
Right.
Just because I spend so much time with them. Tyler Matakevich is another one.
There's a guy who, when you call his name out too, it's like, I forgot how talented this guy is.
Yeah, he's a special player, and he has talk about having a nose for the football. That guy can fly around on a football field, and he always finds himself around the football.
Right.
So I've thoroughly enjoyed playing with him for the past 3 years, and he's helped me out a lot. He's taught me a lot. And had some great conversations with him, and he's a great leader. So,
is it weird when you get in the NFL, because some of these players you competed against so much in college too, or you've seen or heard about through college, and now we're teammates and best friends.
Yeah.
That's got to be a little different too.
Definitely, and staying on the topic of Tyler Matakevich, he was in Pittsburgh for prior maybe 4 or 5 years, 5 or 6 maybe before he came to Buffalo, and. He was on their punt return team, so he was rushing us. We played him a couple times, so I blocked him a handful of times in a couple matchups when we played Pittsburgh, and so like when he got here, we joked. I'm like, dude, you are hard as heck to freaking go up against. And we laughed, and it's just part of the story, but that definitely is something that it helps. I guess it's just a special part of the NFL brotherhood when you compete against somebody maybe in your division or a couple times a year, and then somehow you end up on the same team as them. It's pretty cool just to get both sides of the story.
Right.
And two, like for Team Wester, obviously a guy that's been part of Wester for a long time, Steve Tasker, and generational really one of the all-time best special teams player.
Definitely.
For you being a special teams player yourself, and that's your craft, do you kind of take on like a different appreciation for someone like Steve, who, you know, a lot of people feel like he's been shortchanged not being in the Hall of Fame,
definitely.
but is that someone, you know, especially with the Buffalo connection now and all that sort of thing, you appreciate his career a little more? Even?
Yeah, 100%. And because love Steve to death. It's just a lot of those special teams guys go unnoticed, no matter how good you are, and that's in his era, and that's in the current era. And I think you know, there's Steve is certainly. I'm kind of on board with the Hall of, should be in the Hall of Fame stuff. But no, he's Steve has been a good friend since I've been up here. Talked to him a lot. Been on his radio show a couple times. No, he's done a great job, and he kind of, I guess, paved the way for some of those core special teams guys that play every phase, kind of doing it the right way.
And you talked about, too, you know, how special that opening kickoff return was for the touchdown, and Josh kind of put it into words. And you know, for a guy like Nyheim Hines, who came to Buffalo, you know, at the trade deadline and joins the team and has to kind of, you know, for any player that changes teams, that's a big change, your city, your home, everything. So he's kind of found his way into this team now. And for him to have, I guess, that moment where it wasn't just once, it was twice, and those were huge plays for the game. Like, how do you feel for your own teammate to see that, you know, that pay off basically in such a special moment for the team as a whole?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think when he got traded here, and even when we played against him a couple times, we knew what he was capable of. I think there's one game back in 2019, he returned 2 punts for a touchdown against Carolina in Indianapolis. So we all knew what his abilities were, what he was capable of. And we knew eventually he was going to break out, and it was going to happen for us. And you know, fortunately, it happened. You know, when we needed to win a game against a divisional opponent, and it came true. So he's worked extremely hard since he's gotten here with all of our special teams guys and coaching staff and everything. So it's no surprise to see it pay off.
It felt like storybook at that game.
It did.
I mean,
It
it's just
did.
like watching it from the
yeah.
sidelines. We're like, is he running it all the way right now?
Yeah.
This is insane. This is happening.
You can't. Like after the play was over, after we kicked the extra point, we were just walking off to the sideline. I'm like, you can't make that. You can't make it up.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
And you see
Can't
Sean's
script it
face.
any better.
No better.
You see Sean's face too, and I was at the game, so you can't. We don't get the same perspective as TV, but you go back and you see tears are just rolling down Sean's face, and it's like wow, like that's just
and
such a powerful moment.
everybody, obviously, players, coaches, staff, fans alike, everybody went through last week in their own way, or 2 weeks ago, kind of everybody. I don't know. Everybody went through it in their own way. They kind of coped in their own way, and it was just special to share that moment with so many people.
It's special to share with Buffalo. I mean, it's
for sure.
It's restored faith, and however you want to look at that, not only here but across the nation. And like I have friends and family in Seattle. To hear them, get emotional about it, it's like, geez, this is something big. I mean, triumph through tragedy is really what we went through here.
For sure. And I think, I was just talking to before we started recording. I think his charity is the donations are up past $8 million now. I mean, like,
incredible.
That's unheard of, right? Like that doesn't happen everywhere. That doesn't really happen anywhere. And I think that just shows, one, the impact of DeMar and the kind of person he is, and two, the impact of kind of goes to show what can happen when everybody gets behind a single cause. And no, it's been great to see for sure.
And it's been kind of, just unheard of, I guess, the unity you saw across the NFL, whether it was every team changing their profile pictures on social media and just the constant DeMar as a whole, just like you said, a brotherhood really in that sense. But we had Dawson Knox on a couple months ago, and that was unfortunately shortly after his brother had passed. And he was talking about the same thing, just the generosity of Buffalo fans and seeing that time after time, I guess, during tragedies, whether it's for your own teammates or another team opponent you're playing, So I guess for you, from that perspective, it just has to probably feel pretty special to play in front of fans like that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's they're best fans in the world. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's they've treated me fantastic since I've been here. So I don't know how else to put it.
So we're into playoffs now.
Yep.
It's got to be hard not to get caught up in the hype, but listening to what Josh has been saying, since last game ended, it's a 1-week season now.
Yep.
That's still the vibe. I mean, you guys don't
Definitely.
look past this now.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing for the right to go back to practice next Wednesday. Is really what
Right.
it comes down to. It's whatever you got to do to have more points when the fat lady sings on Sunday. So I mean, it's so simplistic, and that's just the plainest way to put it. You got to do whatever you got to do to just make it one more week.
And seeing other players come in that are getting healthy
Yep.
again. You got
Yep.
Micah Hyde and all those
Yeah.
guys getting ready to come back. That's a new energy for you too.
Yeah, it's definitely encouraging to see a couple of those guys. Jamison Crowder as well, who's
Right.
been out for a majority of the season. Really, even though those guys are not, they're not going to play this week. Just seeing them out there and seeing them run around and catch balls and do drills and whatever they're doing out there, just seeing them out there on the field with a helmet on is encouraging for
I
sure.
think I heard Micah Hyde say he's never been this fresh in January.
That's right. That's
like,
right.
that's
Well, everybody's joking with him. They're like, okay, fresh legs, right? We've been getting after it for since he got injured, but no, it's uplifting for sure across the board.
And I know Josh mentioned too, I think during the week he said something like, we now owe it to Micah to be in a position for him to come back, basically, because
That's a great way to put it.
It sounds like Sean said this week that he's not going to play this week, probably not next week. So hypothetically speaking, it would need to be
Sure.
the AFC Championship
Sure.
game. So does that give you guys an extra little not that you need more of an incentive, but
Right,
just
right.
something to think about when you're playing? It's like, all right, Micah worked this hard. We got to get him. We got to get him there.
I think it's I mean, I long story short, I think it's just something else you add to the bulletin board that you look at on your way in and out of the door, and that would be pretty special.
And
Pretty
you
special.
guys played, obviously as a divisional opponent, you've played Miami twice.
Yep.
Your brother plays for the team.
Yep.
You guys had a loss, one of your own 3 losses all year. That's it. One was versus them, obviously in a game that we've talked a lot about on this show with some of the players and things. Just it was a very weird game with the temperature being what it was. Obviously they came here for a snow game and you guys won that one. So, 1-1 now on the year. And with all that goes into it, I know you guys take it one game at a time and all games are the same, but is there a little incentive more when it's a team like Miami that you play and so well like that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, anytime you play a divisional opponent, similar to last year when we played New England, we knew, we had just played them a few weeks prior, similar to this year when we play Miami a few weeks ago. I mean, these are the teams that you know the most about because you play them twice every year. So, it's going to be a battle. They're going to play us close. Division games are for the most part always going to be extremely competitive games. So, for that reason, because you see them twice a year. But yeah, I mean, we're excited for the challenge. It's the playoffs, and like we mentioned a few minutes ago, you're playing for the right to go back to practice.
That's such a great way to put it too.
Yeah.
So after the games end and you go home and relax, we know that you love to grill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us more about Grills Mafia.
Yeah. So that's something that came about pretty organically just on social media a couple years ago. And it's kind of grown into a great community that I've enjoyed sort of putting together with a few people. And, it's we've got the merch side of stuff where me and a buddy of mine who kind of handles some of the design aspects of it. A lot of the proceeds of that go to veteran charities and the Western New York Food Bank. So trying to help give back to the community while also having fun just grilling and enjoying a cold beer every now and then. But it's something I wish I could do more in season. It's just tougher with schedule a little bit. I don't really have a day where I could sit and smoke a pork butt all day long, but I would if I could. But my off season I've got a lot planned, a lot of new recipes I've saved. and definitely looking forward to it. My wife got me a Blackstone for Christmas too.
That's the elite.
So I have
Yes.
I've been
So she
dying to
won
get
Christmas.
one.
Yes.
Right. So she did win Christmas, definitely. So excited to rip that open and make me a little chicken fried rice. Yeah. So
we actually had Sup Chef on the
yes.
show earlier this year, a local chef who has a big social following out there. And we were talking to him about just what food do you enjoy doing during tailgates and this and that, grilling and stuff. He said he just keeps it simple. I guess for you, you've mentioned a couple of things, but what's like your ultimate favorite thing to grill?
Golly, I mean, it's the most basic. I love a good burger. I'm excited to try some smash burgers.
Yep.
On the Blackstone. Actually, Can't go wrong with a little double stack. But no, good old classic pork butt. Can't go wrong. Brisket too. Little trickier. You kind of got to do it a couple times before you master it. But I'd like to perfect like my own wing sauce recipe. So that's probably next on the checklist.
Not to throw my dad under the bus, but he loves to grill, and he'll call it a beginner smoker, so not like the real ones, like the kind of fake ones. Every time I go over there, I'm like, Dad, when are you going to smoke something for us? He's like, no, I've tried brisket twice, and it's so dry, I'm not going to do it for you. So he keeps putting it off. He keeps doing it in the oven. I'm like, there's a reason we got you the smoker. Right. You got to try it out. But he hasn't gone forward.
Yeah, they are tricky. It's not easy doing it the first couple of times, but you just low and slow. Yeah, that's the key for the most part.
I don't know if you tried wings in a smoker yet, but I've done that a couple times. Although you got to watch those too because it's such a thin meat. For sure. Yeah, it's I like trying a little bit of everything. So you mentioned your family. Great family news. Congratulations. You have another daughter due in May.
Another one. She's due in the spring. So it's anytime we can. We're 2 for 2 with spring babies not having them in season. So. Perfect. I'm not saying we're planning it out, but I'm not saying we're not.
So you go through the standard questions everybody's probably asking you.
Sure.
Have you picked out a name?
Yeah.
Have you picked out a name? Are you guys going through those things?
Yeah, our first daughter's name is Blakely. Second daughter's name Piper.
Beautiful.
Piper.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So if a boy ever comes around, I have the naming rights to the boy.
There you go.
My wife Erica has picked out both the girl names, so she promised me if we ever had a boy, hopefully sometime. Yeah. I need me a little protege.
Yes.
Right. I need me a little long snapper to raise up, but I have the naming rights. So
congratulations!
Appreciate it.
What a great feeling.
Yeah, we're excited.
Too,
we're excited.
When people would talk about you wait for kids, they say congratulations. Until you have kids, you don't really know what that means.
Yeah.
And it's a huge thing. I mean, I can't even put it into words. So congratulations!
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's been a thrilling experience to learn how to be a dad. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like I didn't think that I had that much capacity to learn so many things about how to deal with a baby, how to deal with them as they grow up, what milestones do they reach, every month within their first year, how to deal with all the stuff that just comes up, right?
You have a new appreciation for your own parents at that
100%,
point.
100%. And I'll never get mad at somebody who has a crying baby on an airplane again, because that is a disaster.
Right.
As a parent, you're like all you want to do is just make your baby be quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting there on a plane like, I don't even hear the baby.
Right. It's like, all right, It's just know for the people that are out there, if you're on a plane with a crying baby, that parent is trying their best, because I've been there multiple times, and it's not fun. I promise. You feel like everybody on the whole plane is looking at you.
Yes.
And as a dad too, with like a little girl and now another little girl, I imagine the protective nature in you comes out a little bit.
Definitely.
But being a dad that's also an NFL player, I'm sure that presents some of its own challenges, whether it's traveling or the schedule is rigorous during the season. So I imagine you have to have some family support to help along.
Definitely,
with that too.
My parents have obviously been great traveling up here, and they're always excited to come stay at the house for the weekend and see her, and for a couple of days. And my wife's parents have obviously been up to see her as well. But no, it's great. And then, you know, like you said, a lot of the travel part of our job, you know, is we're gone for most weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, coming home after a 1 o'clock game, or whether it's Monday morning after a late Sunday night away game and you're getting home late and you see your daughter the next morning, you know, you're always excited to wake up and see their face. So that's something that I've learned to cherish, so, you know, this year and last year.
Do the players scoot out quick after the game? You guys try to beat the traffic, or is it like we're here for a while? I've always wondered if you have access to get out quicker.
Yeah, there's a
trick?
difference. There's a difference. Some guys hang around and you know, just hang with family or whatnot. Some guy, you know, I don't live too far away from the stadium, so it's easier for me to kind of just shoot home and maybe crack a cold one at home while the afternoon games are on.
Try to get home while the press conference is still going on.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes that's happened before. I catch Coach McDermott on my TV, but no, it's I'd rather get home and go spend time with family at home than.
I know we don't have a lot of time left, but who on the team has the coolest house? Or the coolest when you go there, like, oh man, this is like a cool hangout right here.
Better be careful who you say if they're listening.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I haven't been to too many guys' house. I mean, I guess the easy answer would be Josh, just because he's got a cool spot. But
he has a replica, actually. Yeah. We recently dropped off a truck for him there, and he literally has a replica from a hole at the Masters now, like outside his house.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
See,
So if you're a golf fan, you might appreciate
pretty cool.
that
It's I haven't been over there during the day yet.
Yeah.
But in the spring, might have to take my 9-iron over there.
That's fun.
See. Yeah.
I never would have thought to put that
cool.
in.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I did want to ask you too, because you're a Georgia guy originally from Georgia. If people maybe don't know that, but it was recently announced this week that if it ends up being Buffalo versus Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, I know you're not allowed to look ahead, but if by, you know, the stars align and that's what it is, it's going to be played. They said the neutral field will be in Atlanta at their new field there. Obviously, an NFC team, it's like a somewhat dome closed in there. So as a player, like, you know, that's also a very specific, you know, unique circumstance given the whole DeMar situation. But is there any kind of like, well, that's Georgia's home, like sort of feel when you hear that? Like what was that like finding that?
Definitely cool. You know, obviously my parents still live in Atlanta, so they'll, you know, be close for them. Still have a lot of friends back home from growing up. But yeah, I mean, I've been to that stadium quite a few times, played there in 2017 when we beat Atlanta, I believe, pretty early that season. I think that's the only time I played there. But I still have tickets for the soccer team, MLS Atlanta United, that play there. So used to go to a lot of games. Haven't been in a little bit, but I love that stadium. It's fantastic. So if the stars align, that would be fantastic.
Excellent. Well, Reid, can't thank you enough. I mean, it's a real pleasure to watch the team come together, the community come together. I mean, we're all rooting for the best for you guys.
I appreciate it.
It just feels like watching our family every Sunday.
Absolutely.
It really does.
Yeah, well, it feels like we're part of the family, so.
Cool.
And make sure, if you're listening, watching, make sure you check out Reid's podcast to the After Snap podcast and check out the Grills Mafia.
Yes,
there's a lot to digest on social there, but gotta give you the plug for that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we're after the snaps every week. We're on we're under SB Nation now, so pretty cool. But we're looking forward to it.
Good luck, man.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Reid Ferguson, our guest today. Another exciting edition of the Team West Herr podcast. For Brad Gelber, I'm Clay Moden. Go Buffalo. We'll see you next time.